Well, hey everybody, it's Dom from the Elvis Himselvis channel. This is your stop for Elvis news, stories, and tidbits. If you like this channel, remember to hit the subscribe button for future videos. Well, today we're going to talk about what goes down as one of the worst music business deals in history. And unfortunately, it's to deal with Elvis, the Colonel, and RCA. It's the 1973 sale of Elvis's music catalog. In 1973, Elvis was back on top with the previous 5 years of milestones like the 1968 comeback special, a return to live performances in 1969 in Las Vegas, the release of MGM's documentary Elvis, That's the Way It Is in 1970. The following year, in 1971, Elvis received the Jaycees Award for being one of the 10 most outstanding young men in America. The following year, in 1972, MGM released Elvis on Tour, their second documentary about him. And of course, January 14, 1973, Elvis was beamed all over the world with the Elvis Aloha from Hawaii special. Elvis was once again front and center, and his record sales were on the rise. The Aloha from Hawaii soundtrack reached #1 on both the U.S. Billboard 200 and country album charts, and it was certified gold less than a month later. As record sales rose, RCA Vice President Mel Ilberman orchestrated a deal between RCA and Colonel Parker that would change Elvis's financial future for not only the remaining years of his life, but also for Elvis Presley Enterprises for decades to come. RCA and Parker always had a rocky relationship. According to author Peter Guralnick, for years Parker was a thorn in the side of the company. He was attempting to always revise contracts, make demands concerning RCA's marketing, but most importantly, royalties. One man that did not tolerate Parker's antics was RCA's newly appointed Vice President Mel Ilberman. Where RCA would entertain Parker's complaints in the past, Ilberman looked to rid Parker for good by taking away the Colonel's main source of leverage, royalties on Elvis's records. Along with the approval and the assistance of RCA's Senior Vice President Rocco Laginestra, Ilberman devised a plan that played off of Parker's greed. Since RCA already owned the physical recordings of Elvis's music as any record label does, Ilberman wanted to propose a buyout that would silence Parker's continual petitions and arguments concerning the royalties. To date, in 1973, Elvis recorded over 700 songs for both studio releases and film soundtracks. The deal would see RCA purchasing the right to all future royalties for every song recorded by Elvis, from the initial Sun record releases purchased by RCA in 1955 to the current date in 1973. With the purchase of the catalog, Elvis and Parker would forfeit future royalties by receiving a single lump sum payment. But how much was Elvis's catalog worth? To produce a figure for the offer, Ilberman and Laginestra calculated royalty payments paid out over the past 7 years. They're showing Elvis receiving an average of $400,000 to $500,000 annually in domestic royalties, as well as an additional estimated 33% in foreign payments. In total, RCA estimated Elvis's royalty payments as $600,000 in an average year. Feeling the past would equal the future, Ilberman and Laginestra came up with a purchase offer of $3 million, an investment the two men calculated to be a profit for RCA within the next 5 to 6 years. With Elvis's okay, the meeting with Parker took place at the Spa Hotel in Palm Springs, but the Colonel did not agree to RCA's first proposal. In typical Parker fashion, he left the meeting informing Ilberman and Laginestra that he would get back to them. When Parker contacted them, he counteroffered with an increased lump sum of $5.4 million, in addition to a few additional provisions to ensure continual income for himself and Elvis. The deal looked like this. The $5.4 million for the entire catalog was final. It was not for a term, meaning that if they accepted it, RCA would have control over Elvis's royalties for life. But Parker had additional demands. He wanted to form a new 7-year contract with the following. Parker wanted him and Elvis to receive $500,000 a year against royalty earnings on the 2 albums and 4 singles for which Elvis would be contractually obligated each year. He also wanted him and Elvis to receive a $100,000 bonus at the conclusion of the 7-year term, but Parker included bonuses for himself. He wanted a $50,000 a year consulting fee for the duration of the contract for assisting RCA in the development of merchandising and promo concepts, and for supplying RCA with merchandise and promo material. He also wanted $10,000 a year for exploiting merchandising rights on the expired contract. He also wanted a total of $1.35 million for his assistance in helping RCA tours with the planning, promotion, and merchandising in connection with the operation of the tour agreement and records made, plus 10% of RCA record tours profits off the top. After it was all said and done, the Colonel would receive roughly $6 million to Elvis's $4.5 million for all the deals combined. Langenestra and Ilberman wanted to get the deal done, so they accommodated the Colonel's demands, but they made it clear that there would be absolutely no interference from Parker. With the deal done, RCA would now establish that they could do whatever they wanted to do with all music to date. First, they wanted to build up the RCA Record Club. They could now start exploiting the back catalog in a way that Colonel never permitted. No longer would they have disputes over foreign royalties, container deductions, and European album content, complaints Parker would have for years. So the big question on everyone's mind is, how could Elvis or Vernon let this happen? Well, Elvis actually approved Parker going through with the deal. And Vernon, he handled the money, but he really wasn't too financially savvy, especially when it comes to contracts. Parker had sole control over all contracts and agreements, with not only RCA recording, but with RCA tours. It was always understood that Elvis would handle the music while Parker oversaw the business. The problem was, Parker's business decisions impeded upon Elvis's music when it came to licensing and publishing deals, but that's a topic for another video. With this deal, Elvis would no longer receive royalties for the millions and millions of records that would sell from that day forward. The damage from the deal did not become apparent until years later when Elvis died. Upon his death on August 16, 1977, record stores had difficulty keeping Elvis's music in stock. RCA took a chance on the purchase in 1973, wondering if they'd make a return. Little did anyone know, including RCA, that Elvis's death would equal an unimaginable return on their investment for the following decades. Parker continued to receive his share of the 50-50 split with Elvis until a suit was filed against him in 1981 by Elvis's estate. Probate Judge Joseph Evans of Shelby County, Tennessee, called Parker's actions excessive and a shock to the conscience of the court. Though Parker was stripped of any further income generated by Elvis's name, the damage was done. To this day, Sony Music, the current owner of all RCA assets, continues to make money on Elvis's music with reissues, compilations, unreleased material, and of royalties from sales of both physical and digital media. The 1973 RCA deal with Elvis and the Colonel went down as one of the worst deals in modern music history, but I'd like to believe some good came of it. Today, it's a legendary story, but also stands as an example for future artists of how, when unmonitored, your representation can become your biggest enemy. Hey, if you like what you saw and you want to see more videos from the channel, just hit subscribe and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up so we can share Elvis with many other fans out there. I'm Dom, and I'll see you next time from the Elvis Himselvis channel.